September brings Aries into a much more serious and strategic financial phase. This is not simply a month about making more money. It is about understanding where your money is going, which opportunities are genuinely worth pursuing, and which financial habits may be quietly preventing you from reaching the level of stability you want. You may begin the month feeling that your financial situation needs a reset. Perhaps you've been spending more than expected, waiting for money that has been delayed, or thinking about a new source of income. You may even find yourself asking a very important question. Am I building real financial security, or am I simply reacting to whatever happens next? September encourages you to stop reacting and start planning. The first part of the month may bring attention to unfinished financial matters. A payment, debt, bill, contract, subscription, or previous commitment could require your attention. Something you have been postponing may no longer be possible to ignore. Although this may initially feel inconvenient, dealing with it now can prevent a much larger problem later. There is also a strong possibility that an old financial matter returns with a new solution. Money that was delayed may finally become available. A previous client could contact you again. Sometimes an opportunity does not disappear. Sometimes it simply returns when you are finally ready to recognize its value. As September progresses, your attention turns toward earning potential. You may become increasingly interested in finding additional income rather than depending on only one source. A side project, freelance activity, online work, creative skill, business idea, or professional service could begin looking more attractive. The important thing is not to expect instant results. What begins as a small financial experiment could eventually become something much more significant. Your strongest financial opportunities this month are connected to your ability to use your existing talents in a smarter way. You may have a skill that feels ordinary to you because you've had it for so long. But September reminds you that something being easy for you does not mean it has no value. In fact, the talent you barely notice could be the talent someone else is willing to pay for. This is an excellent month for Aries to think about monetizing experience, knowledge, creativity, leadership, communication, or specialized skills. If you work for a company, September could also bring conversations about responsibilities, performance, compensation, or future opportunities. You may begin realizing that your current income does not completely reflect the amount of value you provide. However, this is where patience becomes important. Do not approach financial conversations from frustration. Approach them from evidence. Know what you contribute. Know what you have accomplished. Know what responsibilities you have taken on. When you understand your own value, you can negotiate from confidence rather than emotion. For Aries who are searching for employment, September can bring useful professional connections. A recommendation, unexpected message, online application, or conversation with someone in your network could lead somewhere promising. Do not underestimate networking this month. The person who helps you financially may not be the person you expect. It could be someone you have not spoken to in months, someone you met briefly, or someone who remembers your abilities from a previous situation. This is why maintaining professional relationships can become surprisingly valuable. At the same time, September carries a warning about impulsive financial decisions. Aries naturally enjoys movement. When you see something you want, you may prefer to act immediately rather than spend days analyzing every possibility. That instinct can be useful in business and career situations, but it can become expensive when applied to money. Before making a major purchase, investment, or financial commitment, give yourself time. Ask yourself whether you truly need it, whether it supports your long-term goals, and whether you would still make the same decision after the excitement disappears. September is not asking you to become afraid of spending. It is asking you to become intentional. There is a difference. You can enjoy your money while still respecting it. You can buy something beautiful without feeling guilty. You can reward yourself for your hard work. But you should not use spending as a temporary solution for emotional exhaustion. If you notice yourself shopping because you're stressed, disappointed, bored, or trying to prove something to yourself or someone else. Pause. Sometimes what looks like a financial problem is actually an emotional need wearing a price tag. This month is also favorable for reviewing your regular expenses. Look closely at subscriptions you no longer use, unnecessary services, recurring payments, lifestyle expenses, and small purchases that seem insignificant individually but become substantial over time. One of the biggest financial improvements you make in September may not come from earning more. It may come from keeping more of what you already earn. This is especially important if you have been feeling that money disappears too quickly. You may discover that the problem is not one enormous expense but dozens of small financial leaks. Fixing those leaks can give you a sense of control that you haven't felt for some time. For Aries entrepreneurs and business owners, September encourages careful expansion rather than reckless growth. You may see an opportunity that looks extremely attractive at first. It could involve a new product, partnership, investment, employee, advertising strategy, or expansion into a different market. Before saying yes, examine the numbers. Look at the potential profit. Look at the risks. Look at the time required. Look at what happens if the plan does not work exactly as expected. A successful business decision is not simply one that can make money. It is one that can survive uncertainty. If you are considering working with another person, make sure expectations are clear from the beginning. Financial misunderstandings often begin with conversations that were never properly completed. Do not assume. Ask. Clarify. Put important agreements in writing. September rewards Aries who combine courage with discipline. When it comes to investments, this is a month to avoid anything that sounds too good to be true. Someone may present an opportunity with impressive promises. You may hear about a quick return, easy profit, or a strategy that supposedly guarantees success. Be careful. Your financial future should never depend on pressure. If someone insists that you must decide immediately, that alone is a reason to slow down. Research before committing. Compare alternatives. Seek qualified professional advice when appropriate. Your intuition can tell you when something feels wrong, but your research should tell you why. There is also a deeper psychological transformation taking place around money. Aries may begin September with certain beliefs about wealth that were formed through previous experiences. Perhaps you learned that money must always be fought for. Perhaps you watched someone close to you struggle financially. Perhaps you experienced a period when you had very little control over your circumstances. Those experiences can create invisible financial habits. You may become overly cautious even when opportunities are safe. Or you may spend quickly because you fear that money will disappear anyway. Or you may work constantly because you believe that resting means losing progress. September gives you an opportunity to change that relationship with money. Financial security is not created by fear. It is created by awareness. The goal is not to obsess over every dollar. The goal is to build enough structure that you can finally breathe. By the middle of September, you may begin noticing that your financial decisions feel calmer. You are not reacting as quickly. You are thinking further ahead. You are beginning to understand which opportunities deserve your attention and which ones simply create distraction. That change in behavior can have a greater financial impact than any single unexpected payment. There may also be a moment during September when you realize that one particular financial goal is no longer enough. Perhaps you originally wanted to save a certain amount of money. Now you want freedom. Perhaps you wanted a higher salary. Now you want control over your time. Now that is a significant shift. You are no longer thinking only about money. You are thinking about what money allows you to become. For some Aries, this could lead to discussions about property, relocation, education, business development, or long-term savings. If you are considering moving or changing your living situation, September encourages you to examine the financial consequences carefully. A place may look perfect emotionally but create pressure financially. The right decision is the one that supports both your quality of life and your long-term stability. Family finances may also require attention. A relative could ask for assistance, or you may become involved in a financial decision that affects more than just yourself. Be generous when you genuinely can be, but do not destroy your own stability in an attempt to rescue everyone around you. Helping someone should not mean abandoning yourself. This is one of September's most important financial lessons for Aries. You cannot build your future if you constantly sacrifice it for everyone else's emergencies. There is a difference between generosity and financial self-neglect. Learn that difference. In the final part of September, the financial atmosphere becomes more encouraging. A decision made earlier in the month may begin producing visible results. A new client could become a regular client. A side project could begin generating income. A career conversation could lead to a new opportunity. Or you may simply realize that your financial situation is becoming more organized. The improvement may not look dramatic from the outside, but internally it can feel enormous. Because there is something powerful about opening your bank account and no longer feeling immediate fear. There is something powerful about knowing what you owe, knowing what you have, knowing what you are saving, knowing where you are going. That is the beginning of financial confidence. And Aries, September is asking you to build exactly that. Do not measure your financial progress only by how much money enters your life. Measure it by how wisely you manage what enters. Measure it by how much unnecessary stress disappears. Measure it by how much control you gain. Measure it by whether your financial decisions are bringing you closer to the life you actually want. By the end of the month, you may look back and realize that September was not simply about earning more money. It was about becoming a different person with money. More disciplined, more strategic, more confident, more selective, and much less willing to allow fear or impulse to control your financial future. Your greatest financial opportunity this month may arrive disguised as a small decision. A conversation, a new idea, a rejected purchase, a carefully researched investment, a skill you finally decide to monetize, a person you decide to contact again. Never underestimate small decisions. A financial future is rarely changed by one dramatic moment. More often, it is changed by a series of quiet choices that eventually become a completely different life. So, Aries, enter September with your eyes open and your mind clear. Do not chase every opportunity. Choose the opportunities that can grow with you. Do not fear money. Learn how to direct it. Do not allow past financial mistakes to convince you that your future must look the same. Your history is information. It is not a sentence. September gives you the chance to take control of your financial story and begin writing a much stronger chapter. And remember this: money becomes powerful when you stop letting it control your emotions and start using it to support your vision. Your next financial breakthrough may not arrive as a sudden fortune. It may begin with one smart decision. And that decision could be the beginning of something much bigger.